Hi, everyone, and welcome to this CCH Tagetik webinar. In today's session, we will discuss about the impact of artificial intelligence in finance and specifically explore the main AI use cases in finance, along with insights from organizations that are already incorporating AI in their processes. So this webinar is actually part of a series dedicated to our research report, AI in Finance from Skepticism to Optimism, which surveyed more than 180 finance leaders across the world on their perceptions about AI. So let me introduce you to today's speakers. We have Fabrizio Tacchini. He's our Global Head of Innovation here at CCH Tagetik. We have Tommaso Frediani, our Director of Global Excellence. And also we have Giacomo Vellatini, our Associate Director of Global Excellence. But before we hear from today's speakers, I just want to take a moment to summarize some of the key findings from our AI and research report. So this survey found that finance leaders are shifting their mindset towards artificial intelligence. And the majority of them are no longer asking why or if they should invest in AI, but instead when and how. And on this slide, you could see some of our key findings, which I'll walk you through now. First, finance leaders believe AI can accelerate finance transformation. We saw 56% of respondents acknowledged AI's potential to revolutionize financial processes. And we see this as a strong indicator that there's growing acceptance of AI's role in expediting finance transformation. Also, although AI has the potential to transform finance in a number of ways, respondents said they were most interested in AI's ability to improve efficiency, reduce costs, and enhance risk management and decision-making. I think another critical thing that we found in this survey is that AI has already taken root. More than half of respondents are already actively using AI in some capacity, which really reflects a growing comfort level with AI technology among finance professionals. And more than 2/3 said they were in the exploratory stage of AI implementation within the finance function, while 6% had already implemented AI within finance. And of course, we expect this to grow this year. Also, early AI adopters are reporting success, which I think is great news. 9% are exploring ways to scale AI deployments with finance, and 60% have already implemented an AI view and have said that this AI deployment is successful. So these suggestions this all points to AI having a tangible positive impact on operations and processes. And lastly, let's talk about a little bit AI investment. So AI investment within finance is set to accelerate 70%. So really, 70% of respondents are planning to invest in AI within the next 5 years, with more than 60% planning to invest within the next 2 years. So now that I've summarized some of the key findings, I'm going to pass it to Fabrizio, and he will discuss some of the practical applications of AI with some use cases. Fabrizio, I'll pass it to you.
We have been talking about AI in finance since many years now, but AI is a big umbrella that is containing several kinds of technologies. There are technologies that are more oriented, for example, on crunching a big amount of data or trying to have data-driven insight about business and other kind of contexts. These kind of use cases are normally covered by techniques like machine learning, supervised learning, neural network, or similar. After, there is another big chapter that is the blockbuster nowadays of the artificial intelligence, that is the so-called generative AI. What is generative AI? It's a technology that is essentially able to create content and to elevate the user experience thanks to the use of the natural language. In CCH Tagetik, we leveraged both chapters of this AI umbrella. Because, for example, for our intelligent foundation, we use very often a machine learning kind of technique to have, as a result, enhanced data quality in terms of anomaly detection, for example, or in terms of accuracy whenever you do your driver-based analysis on top of your actual data. But after we used a similar technique also to retrieve data from external sources, or to use the business model created on top of your actual as a basis to project your business in the future thanks to automatic forecast. On top of each kind of reporting process or each kind of data analysis, there is the possibility and the necessity to have business insight. And these business insights normally are done thanks to technique like ad hoc analysis, reporting, and similar. We will see that in this area, we are using quite intensively the generative AI, just in order to simplify and to elevate the experience of people using our technology. Let us start the typical journey of a reporting process. Everything starts with data. You have to inject data into the solution in order to feed your reporting process. But how you can inject data into a solution? You can inject data manually, doing a manual contribution, or you can retrieve the information automatically from external sources whenever the information is available elsewhere. If you follow this second approach, there are typical challenges you encounter. First of all, the external source data points are based on dimension and model that very often, I can say almost every time, is different from the model you use for your reporting process. Imagine, for example, that you want to retrieve data from an ERP system, where for each transaction you have the code, the description, the date of the invoice, the number of the invoice, and so on and so far. You have many fields to consider. If you are facing a closing process with your consolidation reporting, for example, your model is based on a completely different kind of dimensionality. For example, you use the chart of account of the group, you use the list of the entities, and so on and so far. How to relate this external data point to this target reporting model? Historically and traditionally, what you did, it was to have man in the loop that was saying, okay, this external data is mapped into this reporting line. How we solved this in CCH Tagetik? For sure, we are allowing still now the possibility to use traditional approaches. But if you want to speed up and to augment your capability, you can activate our auto mapping. What does it mean, auto mapping? It means that there is a model created by machine learning kind of approach that is based on the semantic interpretation of the external data point. What does it mean, semantic interpretation? In the example that I made before, you have the transaction with, for example, an accounting code of your account that is depicted and described with a given description field. And looking at this description field, you can understand where in your target reporting system should be mapped, because you recognize, for example, that there is a similar reporting line that most likely will be impacted. But everything is based on a sort of a statistical assumption. It means that the machine will understand what is the most likely impacted, but statistically, it can be the case that there is also a second option or a third option that can be possible impacted the reporting lines. Who is, at the end of the day solving the possible ambiguity? Is the man in the loop that is validating the decision of the machine with the most likely impacted result, or is forcing with a decided action to have different choices in a special case? If this is happening, the machine will be able to learn from this correction made by the human, and the next time in a similar situation, It will never fail again. This is described in literature as a supervised learning. So the man is in control, is understanding what the machine decided, is validating what is accepting as correct, is forcing the head if is identifying that is something is missing or not correct in order to leave the machine to improve for the next time. This was not only implemented, but also used in real cases. And so I asked Tommaso really to go in one of the projects he was following and supporting in order to explain us how automapping works in the reality.
Thank you, Fabrizio. The first case I'll be describing is about a top automotive company based in Japan. They have been using Tagetik for budgeting and planning, and for them we implemented two projects. The first one is about AI automapping. So they have a very clear and straightforward business case. They want to automate the definition of the mapping tables for three dimensions of their model, which are the car model, the country, and the business entity. Managing mapping tables is an exercise that business users are supposed to do many times during the year. So it is a quite complex task, very time consuming for the business users. So automating it is really key. By providing an input data model and an output data model, the AI automapping is able to generate a mapping table, correlating the elements according to their descriptions. With the generated mapping table, since our philosophy is anyway to have the business user as the owner of the process, the business user can review the mapping table and, if needed, adjust the relationships between input and output elements. And any adjustment is leveraged by the engine to improve the accuracy and produce a more accurate mapping table at the next iteration. The second project we implemented for this client is about the predictive intelligence. The target of the prediction is the sales account. So they need to predict and produce a planning for the sales revenue. On the same granularity that we have just described. So car model, country, and business entity. To make the prediction meaningful, but also actionable, the client decided to upload historical data for external drivers, external variables, like, for instance, sales incentives, R&D cost, advertising costs, and etc. And thanks to these drivers, the planning data generated by the engine can be explained and can be justified by the users. So with those two projects, we boosted the productivity of the client. We reduced the time needed to perform some tasks, and we fully automated tasks that are time-consuming, complex. Therefore, we allowed the users to focus on more strategic activities. Back to you, Fabrizio.
There are several kinds of data you can inject in a reporting system like Tagetik. Very often now, there are data that are also in the shape of semi-transactional or transactional kind of data contribution. Whenever we talk about transaction, there are specific reporting process where the matching between transaction coming from different points is a necessary step. Let us imagine, for example, and think about the IC intercompany matching kind of process that is the typical step in the consolidation and closing process. What happens in the intercompany matching? It happens that there is a declaration from one side made by a contributor of a given entity, declaring, for example, an amount in its revenues for a given sale of a product towards a company of the same group. In the other side, the contributor of this counterparty company is saying, I have a cost for the purchase of this product, and so I declare a cost. Very often, it happens that these two declarations, even referring to the same, ideally, invoice, are not matched. So I have to find a way to try to reconcile the 2 points of view of the same truth. Also in this case, the complexity can be arbitrarily high whenever you talk about thousands, millions of transactions, not only in terms of intercompany, but also in other use cases like bank account and treasury in your ERP and similar. How did we solve this kind of problem? Thanks to the use of machine learning technique and fuzzy logic, we tried to automate this process of matching transaction coming from different sources in a very efficient way. Also in this case, there is a score that the machine is providing to her decision. It's saying, for example, that a given revenues declared as an intercompany from one side must match with the cost of the other side with a degree of confidence, for example, of 90%. In this case, you can say with relax that what has been decided by the machine most likely is true, and then is avoiding you to further investigate and to spend time on trying to do the same manually. So you can use this kind of approach really to process the 95 or 97% of your transaction automatically and to dedicate your time only to the ambiguous or not solved kind of matching that you can force manually. And also in this case, with a supervised learning kind of approach, the machine will learn from your actions, and next time in a similar situation, will be able to solve automatically also these strange and complex cases. But let us investigate how this kind of capability has been used in the reality, and then Giacomo, drive us in one of your use cases.
Thank you, Fabrizio. So let's look at how a top hospitality company is using the CCH Tagetik AI transaction matching. In the hospitality sector, they have to react quickly to the changes, and for this reason, they need accurate and especially on-time information. Their business need is to manage and especially to reconcile an enormous number of transactions generated during their monthly close. The outcome of the adoption of the AI transaction matching is the reconciling of millions of transactions just in one click. In this way, they were able to move people from manual activities to value-added business analysis by saving time to the repetitive activities. The usage of the AI combined to the other CCH Tagetik modules like consolidation, account reconciliation, reporting, disclosure, and budgeting and planning was able to shorten the closing process, the monthly closing process, compared to the past. And they were able to save several days every closing process. So back to you, Fabrizio.
Not only transactional data, but also other kind of contribution are collected by people collaborating in your reporting process, either automatically, as we said with the auto mapping, but also manually. Whenever you have to deal with a big amount of data, it's very difficult to understand if the data have a good quality or not. What is affecting the quality of data? For example, possible errors made in contribution, creating anomalies for example, in values of a given month compared with the values of the next and the previous month. These are depicted in literature like spike. It means that there are values that are deviating too much from the nearest value you should expect. But it's not only the single value that are creating very often the problem, are also pattern of value. So a trend of different data points alongside a given time frame. How did we solve the complexity on identifying in a massive amount of data this kind of event? So spikes, single values that are deviating, or patterns that are not in line with your expectation. We solve it with a kind of a machine learning approach also in this case. And we solve it providing to the machine your historical time series of all the measures and KPI you are considering in order to understand statistically what are the trends and the values that normally should be expected in a given time frame. If what you are providing now as a new contribution is deviating from this kind of modeling, a warning and an alert is highlighted by the machine. Is not discarded, is highlighted to you. You being the owner of the business, you can go down into the report and you can say, okay, you indicated me that in May, the revenues of this product are by far higher than in June and in April. So there is something that is not in line with the expectation, also looking back in your past years. I now analyze the situation and I see, for example, that in May there was a big promotion, and then in this case the value is correct, also if it's deviating too much from the normal. Then I force to accept the values, and the machine will learn from my explanation that that kind of event can happen. In the other side, for example, considering a pattern of values, imagine to have a marketing campaign that you run and you expect a benefit in 2 months from now. And as a benefit, you expect that the 5% of your product sales of a given product should raise. When you are 2 months later, if this is not happening, the machine will be able to warn you that there is something that is deviating from expectations. In that case, you go directly to the point that is indicated, and you can understand that is really deviating from what your marketing strategy was expecting to happen. In this case, then you can say the anomaly is well identified. And then also in this event, you can support the machine to learn from the decision and the action you made, and you are supporting your side to analyze better the performances in your business to guarantee the quality of your data. Let us see how this technique has been used in the reality, and let us go back to Tommaso that will drive us to a real case.
Thank you, Fabrizio. The company I'll be describing now is a large manufacturing company based in France. They are already client of ours, and they use Tagetik for a large variety of processes like consolidation, budgeting and planning, collaborative office, lease accounting, and ESG. They have a very specific need, so they want to automate the process for data check, which means that basically every month actual data is loaded into Tagetik from ERP, and business users are requested to check the data, to check the actual data in order to spot anomalies, to identify outliers. This is a very complex process, very time consuming, very manual. They do it for a set of accounts, like for instance, net sales, order book, order intake, and inventories. And they analyze each account by country and by product. So data granularity is huge. And for each account, they check anomalies in the quantity and in the amount values. So you understand that it's a very complex and time-consuming process. Thanks to the AI anomaly detection, we are able to fully automate this process. So the engine is able to recognize strange data, to recognize anomaly, and to show the anomalies to the user, who can decide whether a certain data combination is an anomaly or not. Thanks to this Tagetik functionality, they improved a lot the process. They automate the process, they reduce the time to complete this process, so they boosted productivity, and they are now able to even expand the scope of this investigation, which is now related to more than 4 accounts as it was for this project. Back to you, Fabrizio.
If and when the quality of your data has been validated by your anomaly detection feature run inside Tagetik, you have the certainty that the data point you collected, you reached, you normalized are good enough to continue your investigation and your reporting process. If you want to have a data-driven insight about your business, you need to rely on the quality of the data. This is the reason why it is so important to run an outlier detection or a pattern identification kind of phase like we explained. But when terminated, you are in the condition to say, okay, now I can really retrieve from the data the real meaning and the real root causes of my performances. But if you stay on the traditional approach, considering only what financially you know, like, for example, your discount, your revenues, your unit price, your quantity, your marketing campaign, etc., the degree of accuracy on explaining your performances, it will be not that high. It will be a little bit poor. Why? Because for sure, what is influencing your performance is also coming from the context where you operate for the market, for example. And the fact that there is an employment rate, for example, in a given geography, or an inflation rate that is raising during the time, or the fact that there is an inefficiency in your logistic system or in your operational side of things, is for sure influencing your ability to perform. But if and when you want to include this information in your model, you have a double challenge. The first one, you do not know what kind of deterministic formula can relate, for example, your margin with the unemployment rate in a given region, for example. Or in addition, as a second complexity, whenever you add new information coming from abroad, exogenous variable, operational drivers, and so on and so forth, you are increasing enormously the amount of data that you have to analyze and investigate. And this is, for a human being, really challenging. How did we solve and how we support this kind of process? We supported this thanks to the so-called time series analysis based on machine learning technique. What essentially you do is to inject, for example, the last 3 years data point related to your historical traditional internal variable, like quantities, unit prices, discount, cost of marketing campaign, FTEs busy with sales kind of activities, etc., etc. You enrich this modeling with external kind of information, for example, weather condition if you are in the retail sector, or unemployment rate, inflation rate, and the other kind of micro and macroeconomic kind of indexes. You retrieve also information coming from your supply chain eventually, because you want to understand how the way you operate is influencing your performances. All those data are accepted and input by our machine that is able to understand if there is a correlation between the drivers and the variable you consider and the measure you want to plan. For example, we'll be able to understand if inefficiency in your logistics system is affecting the quantities you sell, that is what you want to forecast or you want to analyze on top of your actual data. This is very important because the most information you provide, the better accuracy you can reach thanks to this statistical approach. And the better understanding of the real root causes of your business, not only internal root causes, but also root causes coming from the context are influencing your business. But let us see how this kind of approach of driver-based analysis on top of your realized data has been conducted in some real use cases. Giacomo, please drive us alongside these kind of experiences.
Okay, thank you, Fabrizio. Let's look at how a medium banking company is using the AI driver-based. This is a company which is already using some of the CCH Tagetik modules like budgeting and planning, consolidation, and reporting. The AI adoption in banking sector is something quite new, not on the commercial side, but on the finance area. They decided to have as a first step the adoption of the CCH Tagetik AI driver-based, because they are looking for more accurate drivers to explain and to drive their forecast process. The analysis, they decided to focus the analysis on two main areas. The first one is starting from the historical data that were available, the historical data from 2014. And the second one is adding to the historical variables external variables to increase the accuracy of the result. As an outcome of this process, there are two things, two numbers. The first one is 15. 15 is the number of drivers out of the 150 variables analyzed that were able to drive the forecast process in an accurate way. And the second number is 99%, and it represents the accuracy of the 6 months forecast of their forecasting process made using the artificial intelligence driver base. Okay, so back to you, Fabrizio.
The important and accurate understanding of your current performance is the basis to have the business modeling done by the machine And when validated in terms of accuracy, in terms of quality by you analyzing the result of this driver-based analysis in the embedded reporting, you can use this model created by the machine as a base to project your business in the future. What we are talking about now is really the creation of an automatic forecast where the projected values are provided to you with a time horizon that you can decide the next weeks, the next months, the next years. It's up to you to understand what is the best time horizon and what is the granularity you want to reach in terms of dimensionality you want to project. What is very powerful of this kind of technique is not only the degree of accuracy, but is also the explainability that is embedded in the method. What does it mean? Imagine that you want to project the quantities you will sell in the future of all your product families. For each point of view of the business, for example, for a given product in a given region, with a given channel of selling, etc., you will analyze in our automatic forecast. The machine will tell you, this is my projected value for the next months and years. And what affected the most my decision on projecting these values are, in the first position, your discount. In the second position, your marketing campaign you did in February. In the third position, there is the unemployment rate in the region where you sell this product. So it's explaining you what are the variables and the drivers that affected the most the decision for the forecast. This is giving back to you the full control of your business because you have the clear evidence of what are the drivers affecting the performances, and you can take a decision exactly on top of what is affecting the most your performances. Then you can, for example, in my case, decide a different policy for your discount, elevating or reducing the discount according to the target you want to reach. But also in this case, instead of theoretically approach the topic, let us navigate and experience in the ground thanks to Tommaso.
Thank you, Fabrizio. The client I'm describing now is a large manufacturing company based in Italy. They already use Tagetik for consolidation, collaborative office, lease accounting, and supply chain. And they have a new business need. They need to reduce the effort and the time to generate a rolling forecast. So we supported them implementing the predictive planning feature that allows them to reduce the time required to generate the forecast and make this process fully automated. Specifically, they need to plan the delivery of the product sold by item and customer for each business line, and to explain and to make the prediction actionable. They decided to leverage external drivers like sales promotions, working days per month, price of the items. So thanks to these external drivers, the prediction is not only accurate because comparing to the historical data, we are able to achieve a 90% of accuracy, but also actionable. So they can adjust the drivers in order to influence the prediction. Back to you, Fabrizio.
Whatever it is the process, the reporting process you are facing, there are a couple of activities that at the end are necessary. The first one is very popular and clear. You have to produce reporting, you have to produce a disclosure, structured disclosure, structured reporting that is explaining your performance, is explaining the outcome of your reporting process. This is the traditional and typical one. But the second situation you have to face very often is the necessity to answer out of the blue question. From where are arriving this question? And from who? Normally from your management, from the stakeholder, from the market itself, from analysts, from everyone, or from yourself also. You can receive questions like, what is the best performing product in Germany in the last 3 years, for example? You have two options to answer a question like this one. The first one you remember by heart, that there is a report in your shelves that is really showing this kind of information. You remember where it is, you open the report, you start drilling down, and you provide the answer. The second approach, whenever a report predefined is not available, is to create yourself ad hoc analysis. For example, starting crossing and pivoting your dimension and trying to get there from scratch. This can be arbitrarily complex because, first of all, you need to have decent technical skills. You need to understand the model and remember all the dimensionality. You need to be trained on how to do that. With our, I can say, vision and investment, we delivered that is powerful, really revolutionary in this context. That is the combination between our embedded analytics that is providing you with the possibility to show graphically your data via dashboard, graphs, etc. This combined with our virtual colleague that we named Ask AI. With Ask AI, you can use your natural language to ask the business question like I exemplified before. What is the best performant product in Germany in the last 3 years? You ask in your natural language, being Italian, being German, English, Chinese, Japanese, French, Spanish. You ask simply in your natural local language. And as an answer, you receive a double intelligence from Ask AI. First of all, there will be a semantic interpretation of your request that is translated into a query from the fact table of the data that are representing the answer. And after Ask AI is also picking among all the graphs available in the gallery, the one that is best representing the answer to your question. So at the end is publishing via dashboard, via graph, the answer to your business question. This is cutting by design steep learning curve, the complexity of bridging data silos, etc., etc. It's really cutting the complexity in this important phase of your analysis of the business performances. Ask AI is really elevating the experience of the users to the next level, allowing really a confidence and an immediate access to the information without any kind of obstacle in between. Let us see Ask AI in action.
Here we are in our new dashboard for CCH Tagetik Intelligent Analytics. And here is Finance's new assistant, Ask AI. To use Ask AI, all you have to do is ask it a question. You can ask AI a question in its chat box verbally or by typing. There are many types of questions you can ask AI. In this demo, we'll show you how Ask AI can query your data, build on a data query, cross-check information, drill into performance results. Let's query your data by asking Ask AI a question verbally.
Show me the 2025 net sales forecast by month and by product family.
Ask AI is now retrieving the data for all products for all sales globally. In a matter of seconds, Ask AI has gathered performance data showing product and seasonal fluctuations in sales. One piece of analysis always leads to another. So, let's ask AI a question that builds on our initial question.
Show me the breakout of the 2025 sales forecast for the product small HD by business unit.
Ask AI has generated a new chart that shows the forecast for all business units. And just like that, Ask AI turned this data analysis task from one that took hours to one that takes seconds. Now, let's say you need evidence to reinforce a decision. Ask AI can assist you in cross-checking numbers.
Show me a comparison by business unit between the 2025 sales forecast and the budget for the product Small HD.
As you can see, Ask AI has now compared the forecast and budget. From here, you use Ask AI to identify weaknesses or opportunities in performance. Ask AI can drill into data to investigate outcomes and identify the root cause of what's driving your performance results.
Show me the drivers impacting my sales forecast in Germany 2025.
Ask AI is now looking for key drivers at the product level for each month. In its chart, Ask AI has identified key performance drivers. You can use this information to validate your decision-making, or change direction. We built Ask AI for maximum adoption across global companies and diverse workforces. Ask AI understands 7 languages, both spoken and written. Here, let's ask AI to show the net carbon intensity indicator year over year in another language.
年度別の製品売上に対する炭素集約度を教えてください。
Ask AI can answer questions in Italian, French, English, German, Japanese, Chinese, and Spanish. From financial analysts and controllers, to sales analysts, supply chain, and workforce planners, anyone can use Ask AI easily and intuitively. No query or data science skills are required.
Thank you, Fabrizio, Tommaso, and Giacomo. That was great, and that's a wrap for today's webinar. If you're interested in exploring more findings from our AI and Finance Research Report, you can download it directly from this QR code and also find it on our website and social channels. We hope that this session provided you with a useful overview of how AI can be incorporated in your finance processes and how it can really boost your entire workflow. If you're interested in understanding how these AI applications work or seeing a live demo, please get in contact with us. We're happy to support you in your AI journey. Thank you very much for attending today's webinar, and we hope to see you at one of our upcoming events.